This is Sam, and he does art, and he's very good at it. Sam has a really unique and beautiful art style where he combines Disney, anime, and realism to something wonderful. Sam is a master of values, lighting, and simplification, and it has garnered him millions of followers on social media. He is one of those artists whose work you can never get enough of. His art is always evolving, keeping you excited for what's next. His painting style is subtle, using minimal brushstrokes to show form. The thing I am most interested in are his portrait paintings, particularly the way he renders faces, which is what he primarily focuses on. So today, I am going to do a study of one of his paintings and try to uncover his secrets. The study will be divided into 3 segments. First, I will analyze the painting, then I will attempt to recreate it, and finally, I will apply everything I have learned to my own painting. So, let's see how it goes. Let's start with the analysis. But first, why did I choose this particular painting over the others? Well, because it is simple, yet it contains everything I love about his work. The first thing I notice in this painting is the simplification. If you look closely, it doesn't really have a complex value structure. The shading is minimal, yet the form of the face reads exceptionally well. You can clearly see how the nose flows into the cheeks and then down to the jaw. One area I would like to draw your attention to is the shading under the eye. It is so subtle, yet it does so much for the form of the face. How does one even come up with that? And this is exactly why I'm a fan of his. This is what I wish to learn from him. The second thing I notice is the way he uses hard and sharp edges in this painting. There is a strong light hitting the face, creating hard edges on the nose, lips, and chin, which then soften as they move towards the forehead. This technique directs the viewer's attention, telling them where to look and where not to. There is also a hard edge on the shoulder that fades as it moves downwards. All these hard edges combined with the hair creates a triangular frame that focuses all the attention on the face. Additionally, there is a sharp edge on the right eye that transitions into a soft edge, further directing focus. Another clever detail is the hard edge created by the corner of the wall, which is purposefully placed above the left eye to draw attention to it. These small yet deliberate decisions are what makes this painting so great. Now let's talk about the hair. At first glance, the rendering might look complex, but upon closer inspection, it's actually quite simple. It consists of brushstrokes stacked on top of each other, finished with a comb-like texture brush, which is probably his favorite texture brush. Now let's start with recreating the painting. Sam always starts with a rough sketch, and his sketches are an important part of his paintings. Unlike many other painters, he doesn't completely paint over his sketches. Instead, he allows them to remain visible. Sometimes even makes them bolder to increase clarity, such as around the ears in this piece. So I will try to keep my sketch fairly clean and simple. It took me around 20 minutes to complete the sketch, which is longer than I expected. This is because this particular angle of the face is something I have been drawn very often. Once the sketch is done, I will start working on the background. A pro tip, repeated by Sam himself, is to always start your painting with the background first. The reason is simple. Without it, it's easy to misjudge your values and colors, as you can't go brighter than white, which can throw off the lighting. Painting the background first allows for better judgment of values. Now that I'm looking at this, I think I have made a mistake. The corner of the wall lines up perfectly with the eye, which creates a tangent. Tangents should be avoided in art because they affect depth perception in a painting. So try not to make this mistake. Once the background is done, I will start filling in the colors on the subject. For convenience, I will keep different elements such as skin, clothes, and hair on separate layers. Then, I will begin shading the skin. Initially, I won't worry about cleanliness. I will refine it as I go. Now, that red part on the face is crucial because it shows blood flow beneath the skin, making the subject look more alive. Then, I will paint some bounce light on the skin. The bounce light on the neck and arm is soft because they are not the focus, while the bounce light on the jaw and the nose has a sharper edge, reinforcing the focal point. Next, I will move on to the hair. It is a good practice not to stay on one area for too long. Moving between face, hair, and body keeps things fresh and helps maintain focus on the overall composition. To create the highlight on the hair, Sam followed a simple but effective method. He first uses a hard-drawn brush to create a base layer of highlights which are not too bright. Then he adds a second layer of highlights that are slightly brighter. Finally, he cuts into them using a hard-drawn brush as an eraser. One area where I struggle was the shading under the eye. This part is essential as it does a lot for the form of the face. My initial mistake was zooming in too much. Eventually, I managed to get it right. It's not as great as in the reference, but it's not too bad. I am satisfied with it. Then I will create a new layer and start painting the hard light on the face. For the light on the shoulders, I experimented with different layer modes and ultimately settled on screen. Just so you know, I have no idea how Sam actually created this painting or what process and layers he used. I am simply approaching it in the best way I can. And that's how you study. You analyze a painting and try to recreate it in the most efficient way possible for yourself. Knowing the artist's process can be helpful, but you may not always have access to it. Lastly, I will create a new color dots layer and paint the subsurface scattering. I don't believe that's how Sam did it, but that's okay. This is how I'm going to do it. And there you have it, the study. I know it's not as good as Sam's, but I'm pretty satisfied. I think I got what I wanted from this study. Okay, so now let's create a painting. This is my setup. On the left, I have every reference I will need for this painting. The way this works is that I will try to follow the reference in the bottom right while also attempting to stylize it similarly to what Sam does, using the references I have. I believe that this part of the study is the most important. The previous step was crucial for understanding the workflow of the artist you are studying, but you are still just copying. The decisions were already made for you, but here you are actually doing something on your own, making your own decisions and letting your creativity flourish. One thing I quickly realized is that implementing the style in your own painting is way harder than copying. This is actually my third attempt at this, as I badly failed at the previous two attempts. My goal for this study was to understand the way he paints his portraits, so I kind of ignored the proportions of the face, which in hindsight I shouldn't have done, because now I'm struggling with the proportions. That made me realize that I still lacked the skill to draw faces without a reference. Once my sketch is done, I will follow the same process, painting the background first and then filling in the colors for my character. This time, I used the lasso tool to fill the colors. The freeform lasso tool on a graphic tablet can be a bit difficult, but it does give a clean result. Then again, I will keep different elements of the painting like skin, hair and clothing on separate layers and follow the usual process. Another thing I realized while making this painting is how easy it is to get carried away and keep adding details. It actually takes skill to know when to stop painting. That's why it's important not to stay in one area for too long. So now I will finish up this painting and I will see you once I'm done. Okay, so this is my finished painting. Yeah, it's not as good as Sam's, but come on, that's asking too much. I did liquefy the face a bit because it felt a little too long. I also didn't want to paint all that detail on the clothing, so I ended up creating this design, whatever it is. And yeah, this is the study, and this is also it for this video. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.